guys, and a very warm welcome back to What's for Tea, and I hope that I find you all very well indeed. But if you're new, a very warm welcome to you also. So this is the winner of the wee poll that I put up a couple of days ago. This got 47% of the vote, so that's why I'm showing you this one. It's a very easy to make lemon drizzle cake. It's a recipe actually adapted from a Mary Berry recipe, and I just changed the end of it slightly, but I'll show you that when we get there. And also I was planning on putting this recipe up yesterday, but we ended up going to the cinema last night, which we weren't planning on doing, so I was kind of caught a bit short, so I had to finish the recipe this morning. But this cake is best served warm, you know, as quickly as you can, because obviously it's all still moist and gooey and fabulous. Or you can just do what I do and let it cool completely, cut it into even squares, and it's beautiful, served with some nice warm vanilla custard as well. So yeah, so this is what you're going to need if you want to follow along with this wee recipe. And as usual, I'll pop the ingredients on the screen as I'm using them, and I've listed the ingredients in the description box down below. So first of all, I've got a teaspoon of baking powder, I've got the juice of 3 lemons, I've got 4 large free-range eggs, I've got 275 grams of self-raising flour. Now if you can't find, or you haven't got self-raising flour, in the description bar down below I've also shown you or told you how to make self-raising flour from plain flour. I've got 225 grams of caster sugar, 175 grams of granulated sugar, 4 tablespoons of whole milk, 225 grams of room temperature butter, which I've just cut up into cubes, and also the zest of 2 lemons. Yep, so let's move on and see what else we're going to need. So you're going to need an extra few things. You'll need a skewer. Now you can use a bamboo skewer or a metal skewer, it just depends what you've got. You're going to use this to poke the holes on top of your cake to let your syrup sort of soak in. You're also going to need some greaseproof paper and the tin of your choice. I'm just using a square tin today, and this is a 9-inch tin. And you might also want to use a wee pastry brush. Now I ended up not using mine, but you might want to use one of these. And also you'll need a wire cooling rack as well. Now if you don't have a square tin, or you don't want to use a square tin, a loaf tin is ideal as well, but you'll want a 2-pound loaf tin, and that'll give you, you know, the right size. First thing you want to do is pop your oven on to gas mark 4 or 180°C. Now I'm using my stand mix today because I find this so much easier, but if you don't have one of these, or you don't have a hand mixer, you know, you can just do it by hand. You know, it does take a wee bit of elbow grease. So the first thing you want to do is cream together your butter and your sugar. This is going to give you a lovely light cake. So the first thing you want to do is pop in your butter. Just make sure it's room temperature, and it'll make it a lot easier to work with, especially if you're doing it by hand. To that you want to add in 225 grams of sifted caster sugar. Now this is just the lovely fine sugar. You want to cream these together, give it about 5 minutes, and then you can pop in your flour. This is 275 grams of self-raising flour. And then you can pop your eggs straight into that. And then your milk. This is just whole milk. And then your baking powder. So that's 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And just mix the whole thing together. It'll just take a couple of minutes. But if you're doing it by hand, you know, it will take a bit longer. The last thing I like to do is pop in my zest. And just, you know, give it a quick mix just to combine everything. It'll only take about 30 seconds. And you'll have your lovely light cake batter. Now I just like to grind mine with a spatula. I don't know why, it's just something I do. And you want to grab your cake tin that you're using, and you want to lightly grease this. I've just used a wee bit of butter on the paper that the butter came in. And this just helps your paper stick, and it'll, you know, won't move around or anything. And you can pop in your greaseproof paper, just press it down. And then to that you just want to add your cake batter. It's lovely and light and fluffy, as you can see. It does make a big difference if you cream together your sugar and butter well at the beginning. And once you've got all your cake batter out, you just want to go around the whole thing with a knife or a palette knife or a spoon, whatever you've got, just to sort of even off the surface as much as you can. But don't worry too much, because the heat in the oven, it will collapse down and find its own level. You just want to give it a wee hand. So this'll do me. Like I say, you want to pop this into your oven between 35 and 40 minutes. Just put it on, the middle shelf in your oven. You don't want it right at the top. You don't want it right at the bottom either. Just in the middle is fine. So yeah, 35 to 40 minutes, and just pop a skewer in. And if it comes out clean, then you'll know it's ready. Gas mark 4 or 180C, so it's quite a low oven. You want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. And while you're waiting, you can grab yourself the other things that you need. So you'll need a sheet of parchment paper and your wire rack. So you're going to put your cake on top of this and then pour your drizzle over the top. So you want to be able to catch any spills that there will be. So to a jug, you want to add your lemon juice and then your granulated sugar. Now you're looking for about 200 ml of syrup. So you should have around about that, just to make sure you've got enough to cover your cake. And just give it a good stir together. Now if you don't have 200 ml of liquid in your jug, this is why I use a measuring jug, because you can see, with the wee markings at the side. You can add in some lemon water if you've got some. If not, just pop in a wee bit of normal water. But I've always got this in the cupboard, so I just added a wee bit of lemon water. Only needed about 5 ml just to make it up. So this was me 40 minutes later. So this is my cake right out the oven. And that's ideal for me. Now some people, what they'll do is they'll just put the glaze directly on top of this. I like to flip mine upside down and use the soft, the sort of underside. It's a lot softer, and I feel that, it absorbs the syrup in a lot easier. So that's just what I do, but you don't have to do that. I'm just showing you what I do. So I just get my cooling rack and flip the whole thing upside down. Just make sure your wee feet are up the way so that when you turn it over, you've got the, it's standing up instead of being flat. And then you want to carefully remove your paper. This is a great wee tin actually, nothing sticks to it. So whilst it's still warm, just carefully remove your greaseproof paper. And you'll end up with something, that looks like this. And I just grab a skewer and just make random holes in the soft underside. Like I say, you don't have to flip your cake upside down. I just like to do it this way because I feel as though the syrup absorbs in a lot nicer. But I do end up flipping it back the other way anyway, just to finish it off. So once you've got your holes, grab your syrup and just pour it over the top. And it'll just seep into all those wee holes and give you lovely wee pockets of gooiness in your cake, which is fab. So just go all around the edges, all over the sides, and it's going to soak in beautifully. So you want to let this soak in for about 20 minutes, or I do anyway. You can just leave it like this, some people do, and then they'll just cut it up into squares, but I like to let it fully soak in, and then I flip the cake over again. And I just put some white chocolate over the top, and then I'll cut it into squares. But like I say, we did go to the pictures, so this is as far as I got, and I done the other wee bit when I came back, and you'll see the change in the light. So this was me just before I went to the pictures, and this was me when I got back. But ideally you would only leave it for 20 minutes, but this was me a few hours later. And I just had some white chocolate. It's just like a wee white chocolate pen, and it's perfect for doing these wee lines. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, because at the end of the day it's just a sort of rustic cake. So just let this set completely and then come back. So all you have to do now is cut it into your squares. Now it's up to you whether you slice this or, you know, cut it into squares. I just always cut my cakes into squares because it makes it really easy for, you know, for pudding after your dinner. You just grab a square and throw some custard on the top, and you've got yourself a lovely homemade dessert. So I've got 9 squares out of mine. And actually the wee lines that are on top of this make it really easy for cutting up, to make sure everybody's getting the same sort of size of square. As you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. It's so light and fluffy, and you've got that lovely layer of lemon syrup in there as well, which is just, you know, it's went through the whole sponge, and it's just wonderful. So this would just be a typical pudding for us, and you know, we would have this after dinner with some custard, or even in the evening or the afternoon with a nice wee cup of tea. But it's, you know, it's perfect for any time of the day really. You can just see that layer of syrup in the bottom there. Ugh, lovely. So this is ours with some vanilla custard. And like I say, it goes lovely with a wee cup of tea as well. So that was it. And I'm very, very sorry for the late upload. Like I say, we did go to the cinema last night to see Pet Sematary. You know, we weren't expecting to go, so it was a kind of last minute thing. What did I think of the film? I didn't think it was that great actually. I mean, I've seen the original Pet Sematary and I wasn't that keen on it then, so I was hoping that this one was going to be a wee bit better, but I think the original was slightly better. I love Stephen King, well, I love his novels, but I never feel like, you know, the novels translate well onto film. It's very odd. So yeah, so like I say guys, thank you very much for popping over and checking out the wee video, and I've got Meals of the Week coming up tomorrow, and I've also got a wee poll as well asking what you want to see next, so hopefully I'll see you back for that. So until then, take care of yourselves and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye now.